Welcome to Big Idea Hardly, where you can learn something new in just a few minutes. Today, we listen to Elisabeth Braw's book, Goodbye Globalization, The Return of a Divided World, in which we probe into how the breakdown of global interdependence has led to a fractured world where economic and political alliances are rapidly shifting, resulting in increased instability and the rise of new geopolitical tensions. Elisabeth Braw is a senior associate fellow. Don't go away. Hardly, the editor, will be right back with the story. In the intricate web of global interdependence, the unraveling of established economic and political ties has set the stage for a world increasingly divided by new geopolitical tensions and shifting alliances. As this book meticulously explores, the global community is witnessing a fragmentation that threatens to reshape the international order, leading to uncertainty and conflict. One of the most striking examples of this breakdown can be found in the story of Nord Stream, the pipeline project intended to deliver Russian gas to Germany. This ambitious venture, born out of the heights of globalization, symbolized the belief that deeper economic ties could foster peace and stability. However, as we saw with the eventual sabotage of Nord Stream, those very ties have become vulnerabilities. When the pipeline began leaking in 2022, it was not just an environmental catastrophe, but a stark reminder of the geopolitical risks inherent in global interdependence. The explosion that disabled Nord Stream was not merely an attack on infrastructure. It was a symbolic blow to the very notion of globalization. As one of the book's characters, Solveig Artsman, reflects, "It made me want to cry, seeing this happen to our beautiful Baltic Sea. Things turning out this way. Well, that's what so many told me was impossible." This story encapsulates the fragility of global networks and the ease with which they can be dismantled when trust and cooperation dissolve. Another powerful illustration of this fractured world comes from the narrative of Gintar Skaist, who grew up in Soviet Lithuania, a time when the Iron Curtain was still firmly in place. Her world was one of stark contrasts, where the gray monotony of life in a command economy was occasionally punctuated by glimpses of the colorful outside world through gifts from relatives in the West. As the Soviet Union collapsed, her country rushed to embrace globalization, opening its markets and welcoming foreign investments. However, as this book details, the integration into the global economy was not as smooth as anticipated. Lithuania, along with other former Soviet states, faced significant challenges as they transitioned to market economies. The initial optimism gave way to economic hardship, hyperinflation, and a sense of vulnerability as they became overly reliant on foreign investments and global supply chains. "We knew that our previous economy didn't work," recalls Skaist. "If you can't buy simple things like soap, or if you have to stand in a long queue to buy bread or sausage, something is not right." The swift embrace of globalization left these nations exposed to the whims of international markets and geopolitical pressures, illustrating the precarious balance between economic integration and national security. A third compelling case is that of Mo Ibrahim, a Sudanese-born entrepreneur who played a pivotal role in bringing mobile telecommunications to Africa. Ibrahim's story is one of innovation and opportunity, as he helped to bridge the technological divide between Africa and the rest of the world. However, the rapid expansion of mobile networks in Africa also exposed the continent to new forms of dependency and exploitation. As this book points out, while globalization brought unprecedented connectivity and economic growth to Africa, it also made the continent vulnerable to external influences and the volatility of global markets. The story of Ibrahim's success is tempered by the realization that the benefits of globalization are often unevenly distributed, with local economies and cultures at risk of being overshadowed by global corporate interests. "We thought of ourselves as citizens of the world," Ibrahim reflects. "We worked in Hong Kong the same way we worked in Singapore, the US, the same technology, same groups of people, full cooperation. It was a great time. Yet, the very interconnectedness that fueled this growth also created new dependencies, as African nations became reliant on foreign technologies and investments, raising questions about their long-term sustainability and autonomy. These stories collectively illustrate the central thesis of this book. The breakdown of global interdependence is not just a theoretical concept, but a lived reality with profound consequences. From the destruction of critical infrastructure like Nord Stream to the economic struggles of post-Soviet states and the complex legacy of technological globalization in Africa, the world is witnessing the emergence of new geopolitical fault lines. As countries retreat from the ideals of globalization and turn inward, the risks of conflict and instability grow, threatening to undo decades of progress. As the editor of Hardly, through understanding these shifts, we can begin to prepare for a future where resilience, self-sufficiency, and strategic autonomy may become the cornerstones of national and global strategies. In today's world, where global interdependence once seemed to promise peace and prosperity, we now face a reality where that very interconnectedness has become a source of vulnerability. As explored throughout this book, the breakdown of global ties has led to a more fractured and unstable world, where geopolitical tensions are on the rise and old alliances are being tested. One final story that underscores this shift is the experience of Kevin Casas Zamora, a young law student in Costa Rica during the 1980s. Costa Rica, like many other developing nations, had embarked on a journey of economic reform, opening its markets to global trade in hopes of improving the lives of its citizens. Initially, this strategy brought about positive changes. New products flooded the markets, and opportunities for education and employment seemed endless. However, as Costa Rica integrated more deeply into the global economy, it also became more exposed to global financial fluctuations and external pressures. Casas Zamora observed how the influx of foreign goods and capital began to erode local industries and widen economic inequalities. The availability of goods, the availability of choices, the opportunities to consume goods and services expanded almost overnight, he noted. But with these opportunities came new challenges, as the country's economic stability became increasingly tied to the whims of the global market. This story, like others in the book, reminds us of the delicate balance that globalization requires and the significant risks when that balance is disrupted. As we move forward, it's crucial to understand the complexities of our global ties and to prepare for a world where resilience and strategic thinking will be essential for navigating the new geopolitical landscape.